Okay, thanks everybody for tuning in. I don't have a whole bunch of new information today. I'm going to share a few things about forms and go over the last two practice tips. I'm going to kind of walk us through, and some of you have done this in the past, but I'm going to walk us through logging into our broker risk management platform, so you can actually look up practice tips that have been done in the past, and kind of they're very instructive and helpful. At times you can't reach me or Randy right away. It's a good resource that we have. So I'll go. I know some of you know that and have the notes about that, but others don't. So I'll recover that area. I was going to start with some notes from the Bayeris MLS Board of Directors meeting, and I know that those of you in out of the area may not be members of Bayeris, but most of us down in this way are. But some of these things may be coming down the pipe in your MLS too. So one has to do with some updates to the database, and co-ownership is being added as a subtype in residential property type. So if you're dealing or someone's listing a property that's going to be co-owned, such as the Picasso properties that we have in Napa and Sonoma, there will be a category called co-ownership. Because what's been confusing is they show these multi-million-dollar properties for $800,000, which is only a 1/8 share of the property. So it's co-ownership, but people get all excited because it looks like it's such a bargain. So that's why we're adding the co-ownership field. In the MLS printout right now, if you load up your listing, it automatically defaults and puts in a AVM, an automatic valuation model, at the bottom of the listing when it is pulled up by the public, so the public can see an automated value model of the property, and we're putting a yes no next to that now. AVM yes no. So if you don't want an automated valuation model, which don't always work in our neighborhoods or our areas, on your listing you would just say no, and then that wouldn't appear. This will probably be.
I have a question.
Sure.
On that automatic value, is that going to be something with an asterisk that is required to answer, or is that going to be optional when we input on that system?
Let's see. I think it will be optional, because it gives you the ability to prevent the listing from appearing in an automated value model. So I don't know where it's going to appear on the worksheet when you upload your listing, but keep an eye out for it. It'll just be a field to say that AVM yes no, but I don't think it'll be an asterisk field. We're changing the name of master bedroom and master bath to primary. So they will be referred to as primary bedrooms and primary bathrooms in all property types. So
as a painter, I learned this from you guys. In all my estimate, I put master bedroom, and now, like you said, or first bedroom or main room.
Yeah, exactly. There'll be an ability to exclude your photos from public distribution, a portion of them. There always has to be a primary photo that goes out with your listing, but you can opt at your seller's direction to make certain interior photos private. That is, they can be seen by the members or other realtors, but they won't be seen by the public. Often sellers are concerned about their interior shots being exposed to the public. So that'll be a feature that you can exclude certain photos from public distribution. And finally, the Bayeris is working with the other MLSs in the area to have a co-op lockbox key and entrance. So up till now, if you wanted to show a property in another MLS area, you had to get a lockbox permission to do that, or maybe even join the MLS. But now it's going to be co-op between all of the MLSs except perhaps Metrolist, which is Sacramento and the Central Valley. They aren't kind of buying into it just now. So that should come down in a month or so. Some things that did come up this week were a couple of local area advisories. There's City of Santa Helena has passed water use restrictions, and their water department has very high fines if people exceed their allotted water usage. This is deemed to be a disclosure item to buyers there, because they may not know that they can't use the water willy-nilly, and they're going to be mad at us when they get charged $10 per 100 cubic feet as a penalty. And so this will be an internal form for now until it works its way into the Napa County disclosures and disclaimers form that Norbar puts out. And Forestville apparently has a, that's not Tahiti, okay. Thanks, Curtis. Forestville has what do you call it? Lateral sewer inspection requirement. That was something that we listed a property in Forestville. We didn't know that was a requirement, and it became known to the buyer, and they were all upset that they didn't have this sewer lateral. I'm not even sure the property could transfer without it at this point. So anyway, it's just a reminder that local jurisdictions often have local ordinances such as water, rent control, sewer laterals, and so forth. So if you're taking a listing that's not in your backyard where you're most familiar, certainly check those things out before you fully list the property. Let me hop on forms for a moment. We talked about this last week. One of the agents, I don't see him on this morning, but he said he was properties to be being listed with a comment in the private remarks that the seller is subject to the seller's purchase of a replacement property. So this is the form you would attach as an addendum to your contract, your RPA, when you make an offer. And you should probably discuss it with the listing agent and say, okay, how many days do they need, and things like that. And, you just go through and fill out these different boxes, just as you would as if the buyer it's subject to the buyer selling a property. This is the seller's purchase of a replacement property. So that's SPRP form. So that was mentioned last week. I wanted to go back and follow up on that. A couple of things that came, the last 2 weekly practice tips included, well, let's just go to broker risk management and we'll look at them there. And Frank, while I see you on here, I haven't seen you in the office, but I know your birthday was the day before mine. So happy birthday to you. Okay. didn't hear you respond, but that's hope you had a good one. Okay, so let's go to let's log out of this. Okay, and just pull up. No one mail. Well, hold on 1 second. I gotta log out of that before I can share that. Okay. Now we'll go back and we're going to log into a site. Can you see my screen there? Somebody say yes.
I can't, no.
No, okay, I'm sorry. I forgot to share. Okay, now we're sharing the screen. Okay. And
No yet.
Nope, still don't.
hold
see anything.
on a second. I'm not sharing quite yet. You're right. Now you see my screen?
Yes.
Yes.
Okay, that's my barn owl, so my favorite buddy. So we're going to go over here and kind of move that. There you go. We're going to visit a site on my bookmarks here called Broker Risk Management. And this is our broker risk management. This is a firm we have on retainer that advises us about broker risk management. So it's brokerriskmanagement.com. So that's where you want to go to get this. And then your login, you go over here, it's kind of small, but this is an unlock and that's a log out. And this is a login. So you go to login and our username is right there, BHGWCG, all caps. You can see that. So, and then the password is Bonita, capital BONITA. And then you log in. And what you get is this menu. Now, this isn't a very sophisticated site. It's and the searches aren't always kind of the easiest, but these are the weekly practice tips that I send you weekly, and so this was the latest one, completing the AVID for a property for staged or prepped property, and you would just click on that and then it comes up. So this was last week's, like it says I'm a seller's agent. I was, listed the property, but the seller is doing some work on the property, has contractors in there and painters, when should I do my AVID? Because I do it before or after. And the answer is both. This was a true story. That the client retained a contractor to paint in the family room, and the broker, there had been a stain on the wall. Didn't know what it was from, but there was a stain on the wall. And so the listing agent helped arrange with the contractor and said, make sure you paint that over the stain on the wall. So they did, and then the property sold. And several months, she did her AVID, the agent, after everything was fixed up, and she didn't mention the stain on the wall. So after the house was sold and the buyer's in there and it rained and the stain reappeared, and the buyer happened to call the painter because he knew who had painted it, the contractor who had done the work, and said, hey, what happened here? And he says, oh yeah, we painted over a stain there. Actually, here's a note from the listing agent telling us to paint over the stain. So what do you think happened there? The listing broker and agent got stuck with the repairing the leak that wasn't disclosed. So the practice tips are, inspect the property in its original condition, making notes of any defects or conditions that you normally would note in an AVID the property in its original condition, and then monitor and document the improvements and the contractor work that's being done to get the house ready. Should be in the form of notes, photographs, or videos. And then prepare when the property is about to go on the market. You can prepare your AVID, but you should provide those notes and photos and videos about the work that was done, as well as evaluating the property in its current condition. So you may have noted stains on the wall in the original condition, but there's none in the second one, but you're going to attach those notes that you made about the first original condition. So that's an interesting thing. You all kind of clear on that? Okay.
Yeah, it's helpful.
Yeah. Yeah, because we often have we recommend the sellers do some work on the property, but we should do a walkthrough before that work is done, make notes, and then make notes after, and do our final AVID afterwards. And then this week, the weekly practice tip the week before that had to do with referral fees. We often get questions about referral fees. Can I pay, my sister Sally a referral fee for referring me to her neighbor? And the short answer is, if Sally doesn't have a real estate license, then you can't pay her a referral fee. What you do with your own money after the closing, we don't want to know about. And it doesn't affect us, but you can't, through the escrow or anything, pay what would be called a finder's fee to a party that's not licensed. So now, often we agree to give our seller or our buyer, our client, a credit or a fee in the escrow, and that is allowed. That's not a violation of RESPA. But a fee to an outside person who's not a licensed person is illegal under RESPA. If RESPA applies. Now, RESPA only applies to properties, single family 1 to 4, and properties that have a federally related loan. Most any loan on a property is a federally related loan anymore, because they're structured for Fannie Mae or they're banks that are insured by the federal government, so forth and so on. But if your property is 5 or more residential units or commercial or raw land sales, or there's all cash purchase and a hard money loan, then you could pay a finder's fee to somebody and not violate RESPA. So if you have any questions about finder's fees and referral fees, just give us a call. We'll sort it out beforehand. And then, back on this homepage of the BRM website, let's say I had a question about, what did he say about the TDS? That was our last thing. So you put in TDS in your search, and here come the latest. These are dated by back, by the date, the most recent date. Potential risks of listing that requires buyer to waive the right to a TDS, a newly revised section of the TDS, things like that show up, and you can do a little your own research on that. Or let's say you have a question about, what was that new RPA? What was that form? And then there's this whole section on the newly revised CAR forms as of December 2021, the revised RPA, and 7 other CAR purchase forms. So those are all covered in that weekly tip. This one, and then that's part 1, then there's part 2. So you can search in any topic here and usually come up with an answer. So it's a great resource. Use it. It'll just help increase your knowledge of how things are going. Let's see. Do I have anything more? I think not. Did the Bayeris rules, did those advisories? Okay. So that's all I have today. Heather, did you want to share a couple things?
Sorry. Yeah, I don't have a ton today either. I was just at the CAR legislative meetings, so that's always interesting. Well, it's my first time, but I know it's always interesting because it was very interesting. There was some presentations that were interesting. Gov Hutchinson, I went to a 3-hour risk management forum, which was really interesting. Talked a lot about wire fraud and rental fraud and so many things that are, just kind of some reminders about make sure it's really recommended on the wire fraud form that you don't just send it over with other documents for them to sign, but you do you do give people a heads up because they're finding some people aren't reading it and then they're not taking the time that it should have. There's a couple of new forms that are coming out on they're going to be taking that fire hardening and defensible space, and they're working on making that easier and turning it into 2 different forms. So just depending on how the property falls, whether you'd choose 2 different forms, so it's more straightforward. They're also going to be including a disclosure about fair appraisals, and that's going to be coming July 1st. You'll see it's going to be attached to the RPA. So I'm sure Gary will go over that once that comes out.
What does that mean, Heather, fair appraisals?
They didn't go into it a whole lot. It's a disclosure about, just talking about the appraisal process, I guess, and making sure that, I think the impetus behind it is that so many people are waiving their appraisal contingencies. And so they want to make sure people understand that, that in most cases or many cases, there still will be an appraisal and how that will affect them if they waive it and then are unable to get their loan. Gotcha. They also strongly recommended that we all read through the counteroffer form. That was changed at the same time the RPA was, and they're finding a lot of people haven't, it wasn't highlighted as much as the change in the RPA. So just a suggestion to go dive into the counteroffer. If you're filling one out, make sure you're rereading it because there are a few changes on it. And then I think the big legislative thing that was being bandied about is that there is a proposal on the floor to make it so that in California, anytime a landlord wants to sell a property, residential from 1 to 5 units, they are trying to get it passed that landlord would have to give the tenant the first right of refusal. And CAR is quite fervently against that because there are long timelines included in the legislation. So it would, a tenant would have 10 days to decide if they wanted to buy the property. They'd have 30 to 60 days to make an offer, another 60 to 90 days to get financing. So it could take, months and months and months. So that you may see one of those red alerts come from CAR about, hey, can you call your legislation if it does get bumped up the steps, so that we can, that's kind of the hot button thing right now that we want to make sure isn't passed in the form that it's in right now. So I think that's everything I've got.
Okay, and you did put something in the chat about Norbar's creating a resource site for where to access local ordinances, which will be helpful.
Yes.
They make an inventory of all the local ordinances and give us a resource, so we can go and look and see if a particular community has a local ordinance that we might not be familiar with. That would be helpful. Yeah.
Those, especially those point of sale requirements, so that, like the force fell, we didn't know.
Right. So. And if you recall, let's see if I don't know if I can get back to Let's see if I can get back to zip form here. No. Anyway, we'll start here. The local forms and again in zip forms. I just log on here. Oh, while this is loading, on next Tuesday from 11 to 12:30, it's part of Heather's ongoing foundations course. I'll be visiting the class and doing presenting on the RPA, the RLA, the listing agreement and agency. Is that what it is?
The RR, the request for repairs.
Okay, great. So I'm going to cover some of our most basic documents, including agency disclosures, and it'll be pretty much geared towards a new agent. But if you're interested, you can log in and check next. Keep an eye out for Heather's notice, but it'll be next Tuesday at 11. Let's see. Okay, so I'm back here in the search area for the forms. And if you go up here, you probably all know this, but the forms library, and here are different types of forms you can find besides the CAR forms. American Home Shield has forms in there. Sample letters are in there. E-publications are in there about different topics. And then there's Norbar. So
Gary,
Norbar,
I'm not seeing any of what you're showing, just your cursor moving around on, I don't know, maybe other people are seeing it.
oh, okay, sorry.
Same thing. I don't see anything as like the.
Yeah, it was
frozen.
just your cursor
All right,
moving.
let me try one more time. You see it now?
Well,
No.
we seen this screen, but when you hit that search and you were talking about what the drop down was, we didn't
Right.
see the drop down. We didn't see any of that.
Yeah, we're just.
You have to
it's just
sign
on
in.
The CAR, the first zip forms page. It didn't go actually into the transactions.
Oh, okay. All right. Well, I don't know if I can correct that real quickly or not. Is it walking you through the login now?
It is.
Okay, let's see if I can log on again.
Yeah, maybe because it opens up that separate window.
Okay, we see the zip forms files now?
No, we're
No.
still on the
Uh-uh.
original. Oh,
Okay.
no, still on
All
the
right.
original.
All right, well, I don't know why that's doing that. But anyway, when you're in the forms area, I'll just stop sharing because I can't make it work. I'll work on that next week and show you, or in 2 weeks and show you. But when you're in that area and you pull up the forms that are all on the right sides, at the very top, it says California Associated Realtors. But if you click on that, there's other libraries of forms, including Norbar's forms. So any area that's covered by Norbar, the area disclosures, the Lake County disclosures in there, the Napa County, the Sonoma County, the Marin County, and so forth. So that's helpful, so we don't have to go elsewhere and find those disclosures.
Gary, I just got it up if you want me to open it up to show
Sure.
everybody.
Sure.
Let's see. It's taking a minute here. All right, do I have the ability to share my
Yeah,
screen?
I think I gave you co-share. Yeah. Mhm.
Okay,
Okay. There you go.
Still stuck on. Thought I had it up already.
I think you stopped sharing as well.
Okay. Okay, here we go. Looks like it's just about to open up. Yeah. Thought I had it. Sorry. Documents. Okay. There we go. So can you guys see this is a this is a sample transaction.
Right.
So right up here on the top right where it says all forms, when you check on that, then where it says California Association of Realtors here, that's what he's talking about. You can click on that and it drops down to those sample letters, North Bay Association of Realtors. If you're in a different association, it'll show a different one here as well. And then it shows you, when you click on it, you get access to all those different documents.
Right, they just have the 4 area disclosures right now, but you know, they may add stuff over time. But that's
Yep.
that's a convenient way to search for your local disclosures anyway.
Yeah.
Okay, got any questions for this week? Now, remember, next week we've got legal update at 9 o'clock or 9:30, right? 9:30, 9 o'clock to 10:30. We'll be sending out a link and everything, but that's important to attend because it's our semi-annual legal update from our broker risk management attorneys. So be sure to have it on your calendar next week, next Friday, 9 o'clock to 10:30, legal, what we call our legal update. And if there's no other questions.
I do kind of like
yeah.
have one question.
Sure, Alejandro.
To Heather. Heather, you mentioned about the renters be able to buy the unit if it goes on sale. Did they talk about also like maybe refusing to move out, or the seller needs to buy them, or how does that work? Did they mention anything like that, or they need to leave the premises like given 30-day notice or something?
You know, they did talk a lot about that, but every local area has a different ordinance right now. Some still have the COVID restrictions in place about how to, you know, evict, and so they didn't go into detail with it. So I'm sure, you know, we could find out. I don't know it myself either, but yeah, I think even every city can have something different. So.
Got it. Okay.
Sylvia, who I don't think is on the call, but Sylvia works at the Santa Rosa office.
Yeah.
She deals with a lot of tenants, so she's a good, if anyone needs a resource for the latest tenant information, she can help.
Great.
Wow.
Yeah, typically we still aren't giving any counsel around landlord's ability to you know, give tenants notice because it varies so widely between jurisdictions. So we are advising our clients to consult with qualified California real estate attorneys who specialize in landlord-tenant relations. Okay. Well, great. Everybody have a good week. We'll see you next Friday, if not before, or maybe we'll see you on Tuesday for that foundations training on the RPA, RLA, and RR. And have a great week. We'll definitely see you next Friday.
Bye, everybody.
Bye and be well.